I will now call to order the City County Council meeting for Monday, December the 9th, 2019. And we'll begin our meeting.
It's my last time. I've asked Tim Lindsay, Pastor Tim Lindsay, to say the prayer for us this evening.
Heavenly Father, we are grateful for this evening. Lord, first I want to thank you for all of our counselors, those who have given their time, Lord, their energy to serve our city. Certainly we think of those as be their last one with us, and we're so grateful. There's nothing we can do tonight to honor them appropriately for that. So we ask that you continue to bless them. I pray that you bless the meeting tonight. We thank you for a concerned city that would come out and support. And so I pray, Lord, that what happens tonight would be honoring and glorifying to your name. We praise in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
And now let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilors, please select your green button to indicate your attendance. There are 23 members present. The next item on our agenda is introduction of guests and visitors. Councilor McQuillan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The bedrock of any good city-county councilor that helps keep them through the day is their spouse or significant other. Tonight, our spouse of our minority whip, Janice McHenry, her husband, Mr. Fred McHenry, is here. Let's thank him for being another dedicated spouse. Mr. McHenry.
Councilor Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have three lovely persons with us this evening. The county clerk, Ms. Marla Eldridge, Mr. Trina DeBoe, and Ms. Ann Latchett. Would you please all stand, please? Ann? Thank you all for coming.
Councilor Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to recognize my ASME brothers and sisters, George Cravey and Michael Torres.
Councilor McHenry.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize some of the people from District 6 that are here this evening. I know a couple of them are going to be honored, but I know there's others here too. So those who are District 6, certainly appreciate you coming down this evening.
Councilor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to acknowledge two elected officials from Pike Township, Senator Greg Taylor from the State House, and Annette Johnson, our trustee in Pike Township. Welcome.
Councilor Harris.
Yes, I'd like to recognize Nancy Baxter. She is the mayor of Claremont. Nancy, thank you for all that you do out in Claremont very much, Nancy.
Very good. The next item on our agenda is official communications. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, you are hereby notified that regular meetings of the City County Council and Police, Fire, and Solid Waste Collection Special Service District Councils will be held in the City County Building in the council chambers on Monday, December 9th at 7:00 p.m. Purposes of such meetings to conduct any and all business that may properly come before the regular meetings of the councils. Sincerely, Bob Osley, President, City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana, a cause to be published in the Court and Commercial Record and in the Indianapolis Star on Friday, November 22nd, 2019, a copy of a notice of public hearing on proposal numbers 392, 396, 397, 400, 401, 406 through 410, 412, and 413, 2019. Said hearing to be held on Monday, December 9, 2019, at 7:00 p.m. in the Public Assembly Room of the City County Building. Respectfully, Sarita Hughes, Clerk of the City County Council. Ladies and gentlemen, I have approved with my signature and delivered this day to the Clerk of the City County Council, Sarita Hughes, the following ordinances. General Ordinance Number 65, General Resolution Numbers 30 through 33, Special Resolution Numbers 35 through 40. Joseph H. Hogsett, Mayor. Mr. President, this concludes the official communications.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have consent? The next item on our agenda is approval of the journals from November the 18th, 2019. Do I have consent? We'll now proceed to presentation of petitions, memorials, special resolutions, and council resolutions. And the next item on our agenda is proposal number 448, which recognizes the Indiana Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force. Councilor Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 448, the members of that proposal are not here today, so I'd like to bring this up again in the new year. So I'd like to strike it.
All right. The consent? Next item on our agenda is proposal number 458, which honors Central Indiana woodworkers for their manufacturing of tons of toys and gifts for Central Indiana children.
Thank you, Mr. President. Join me here. City County Council Special Resolution Number 42, 2019 is a special resolution honoring the Central Indiana woodworkers for their manufacturing of tons of toys and gifts for Central Indiana children. Whereas Central Indiana Woodworkers is a 501c3 tax-exempt organization that was founded in 1948 as the Home Craftsman Forum. It started with the sole objective to provide members with a presentation of educational programs and demonstration of machines, tools, and processes adaptable for use in the home workshop. And whereas their mission is the education of members and non-members in wood craftsmanship and contribution to the community, many amateur and professional men and women have a common interest in fabricating from wood. And whereas over the years, Central Indiana Woodworkers, or the CIWW, has grown and become more focused on woodworking and has added the making of wooden toys that are distributed to disadvantaged children as their formal charitable service to the community. Every year they make over 10,000 toys and 1,500 craft kits. These are distributed throughout over 40 social service organizations in time for Christmas. And whereas Yale Martin, an avid woodworker, joined CIWW in 2014 and is the current president, Mr. Bob Decker, the incoming president. Mr. Martin has been married to his beautiful wife, Carol, for 48 years, have 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Don't know how your family is looking, Bob, but you can share it here in a minute if you want to. I would like to say, be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and of Marion County, the Indianapolis County Council recognizes Central Indiana Woodworkers for the manufacturing of toys and gifts for Central Indiana disadvantaged children. And, Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been probably moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Back to the Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the things I've really enjoyed over the years in the council is all the groups that are in there pitching in. I can't think of a group that's done more for Central Indiana youth recently, in my tenure at least, as CIWW, and I thought it'd be appropriate as they're gearing up for yet another charitable year of giving to honor them here at the council. And Mr. President, with your permission, I would like the incoming president, Mr. Bob Decker, to tell us how many grandchildren he has, and also to say a quick word or two about CIWW, with your permission.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Bob Decker, please.
Well, thank you very much for this recognition. It's very special to us. As you can tell, if you can do the arithmetic, we've been around about 60 years. I have no idea how many toys we produced over that time, but I do know that this past Saturday we had our annual pick and pack. That's where we gather at a warehouse and we sort through all the toys that were made during the year and distribute them to 40 or more agencies throughout Marion County, and some of the outlying counties. This year, we distributed 15,528 toys to disadvantaged children. And your recognition will motivate us to do better. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
The next item on our agenda is proposal number 458, which recognizes Bob Hunter for his volunteer efforts in the community and his tireless advocacy toward the fight against ovarian cancer with Overcoming Together.
This is City County Council Special Resolution Number 43, 2019. A special resolution recognizing Bob Hunter for his volunteer efforts in the community and his tireless advocacy toward the fight against ovarian cancer with Ovarian Come Together. Whereas ovarian cancer is a deadly disease with no screening test, making awareness about the disease, supporting survivors and caregivers, and funding research, very important objectives for Overcoming Together, founded in 1995 in Indianapolis, Indiana, and whereas Bob Hunter and his wife, Sonia, supported Ovarian Coming Together before she lost her life to the dreaded disease in 2012, and whereas Bob continues to devote enormous energy and personal time fighting the disease to honor Sonia because he knows it might save the life of another woman if they catch it in an earlier stage. And whereas as a strong leader with boundless initiative and expertise, with a passion for the mission of Ovarian Coming Together, Bob was elected to the board of directors in 2014 and now serves as its president, helping to improve efficiencies in the office, increase awareness, events, and fundraising efforts, and saving the organization money while doing so. And whereas Mr. Hunter not only works tirelessly for Ovarian Coming Together, but also unselfishly does a tremendous amount of work in his neighborhood, with the adjoining neighborhoods and the community around Eagle Creek Park. He serves as his neighborhood's representative on the Eagle Creek Neighborhood Alliance, a group that has worked hard to improve the area, and is president of his homeowners association for several years. He works hard to improve Eagle Creek Woods, too. He is there for every tree planting, trash pickup, and beautification project, most of the time serving on the organization and planning of these efforts. And whereas the difference Bob has made through his leadership, volunteer service, dedication, knowledge, and advocacy are admirable and extremely worthy of recognition. He has earned the respect and gratitude of both those he serves and those whom he serves. He has touched and enriched the lives of others through his service. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and Marion County, Indiana, the Indianapolis City County Council proudly recognizes Bob Hunter for his volunteer efforts and in the community and his tireless advocacy toward the fight against ovarian cancer with Overcoming Together. This resolution be full force, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Back to the speaker.
And with permission of the president, may Bob say a few words, please?
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure working with you over the years. I would just tell everyone, please look at our website, learn the symptoms of ovarian cancer. It's very, very important. Hopefully we can avoid some lady coming down with what my wife came down with. Thank you. Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is proposal number 460, which recognizes Claremont community member Nancy Baxter.
City County Council Special Resolution Number 44, a special resolution recognizing Claremont community member Nancy Baxter. Whereas Nancy Baxter has been on Claremont's board for more than 8 years and is currently serving as president, and whereas Nancy has worked diligently in the community, she organized numerous cleanups, not just for the town of Claremont, but surrounding areas as well. Works with Roby Park to plant trees and paint, worked in Miller Park removing overgrowth, dead trees, and other things to bring back the beauty of this pocket park, and painted curbs on Crawfordsville Road during the hot summer months and made sure that the road is maintained with banners, flower pots, flags, and holiday decorations. And whereas Nancy is a member of the Claremont Lions Club, where she has worked the rodeo, parking motor homes, and baking pies. She is also a host, which is help one student to succeed, volunteer for Wayne Township Schools, and whereas Nancy does not do these things for any recognition, she does it because she has pride in Claremont and is extremely dedicated to the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and Marion County, the Indianapolis City County Council recognizes Nancy Baxter for her commitment, dedication, and hard work for the community. This resolution shall be in full force upon adoption, and I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Back to the speaker.
Would you like to say a few words?
Janice makes it sound like I'm really busy, but nobody is any busier than this lady. I could not keep up with her. She even came out and helped paint curbs on those hot days. Thank you, Janice.
The next item on our agenda is proposal number 461, which honors the community service work of Ed Locke.
City County Council Special Resolution Number 45. A special resolution honoring the community service work of Ed Locke. Whereas Ed Locke has been an active volunteer in the Indianapolis community for over 30 years, he has lived most of his life on the west side of the city and takes great pride in his community. And whereas Ed is president of his neighborhood association and active in the Pike Township Residents Association, which is a nonprofit organization that provides a forum for Pike Township residents and business owners to discuss regional and local neighborhood concerns. But his contributions to his community go far beyond that. And whereas Ed leads many volunteer activities, such as hikes for school children at Eagle Creek Park, promoting the arts through the Heartland Film Festival, his work with ArtMix, a nonprofit organization that provides inclusionary arts education to people of all abilities, entertainment for the elderly by playing the piano at nursing homes, and working with the Call for Action team at the Indianapolis Star, helping residents problem solve consumer issues. And whereas Ed has a great knowledge of plants, trees, fungi, and animals that inhabit Eagle Creek Park, and helps children understand the importance of the ecosystem and taking care of our earth. Ed also works with the park staff and Keep Indianapolis Beautiful to participate in tree plantings, and he regularly works with Councilor McHenry to clean up the Eagle Creek area and the west side. And whereas Ed is the chair of the Airport Greeting Committee for the Heartland Film Festival and is often the first face guests see as they arrive in Indianapolis. Ed welcomes guests, many of whom are actors, directors, and filmmakers, and escorts them to a waiting car. Ed is also a theater shift chair and performs a range of volunteer duties at theaters, even helping to clean after a showing. Whereas Ed is the photographer and piano player at the Indiana State Museum, he takes pictures of the children as they make their very important yearly visit to Santa. Ed has been a host for such special exhibits as Star Wars and Titanic and enriches the guest experiences by playing the piano time to time. And whereas at the Indianapolis Star, Ed takes calls from residents who are having a problem with a company or a charge that is not valid. He researches the situation, helps the caller learn who can help them, and often makes the call himself. Through this work, he has saved Indianapolis residents thousands of dollars and protected them from fraud. and where Ed Locke is a treasure for our city. It's volunteers like him who really make Indianapolis what it is, a welcome and safe place to live, work, and raise our families. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and Marion County, we're pleased to recognize Ed Locke for his community service to Indianapolis, but especially to the residents of the West Side. This resolution shall be in full force upon adoption, and I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries back to the speaker.
And would you like to say something?
Thank you, Janice, and thank you for all the work you've done for our community over the years. And I was thinking about this last sentence here, really make Indianapolis what it is. And it's everything listed there, and for Bob and for Nancy before me also, it's things that were in Marion County, opportunities that were here. And that comes from having things like also a good city government and the contributions everybody on the council and in this building have made. And so I just want to say thanks to, again, to Nancy, or to Janice. I'm a little bit nervous here. And I want to take one more opportunity to thank the council for supporting the community standard of the ban on digital billboards, and, which is very close to my heart. Thank you. Thank you.
And I'd just like to say something again for all three of the people that I recognized here this evening. I know there are a lot more people in my district that have made a lot of contributions. I know that there's a lot more in all of our districts that do, but these people are really super people, and the contributions they make to our city, to their area, is just fabulous. And if everybody would step up like they have done, even to a small degree, what a wonderful place we would be. We wouldn't see the trash we see around. We wouldn't have the problems that we have in our city today. And I'd like to thank them all again for everything that they do. It means a lot.
The next item on our agenda is proposal number 462, which recognizes the Pike Township Residents Association, Inc.
This is a fantastic group in Pike Township. City County Council Special Resolution number 46. A special resolution recognizing the Pike Township Residents Association, Incorporated. Whereas Pike Township Residents Association, known as PTRA, is a nonprofit organization founded in 1972, and whereas they provide a forum for Pike Township residents and business owners to meet to discuss regional and local neighborhood concerns. These concerns may include, but are not limited to, land use, either new developments or modifications to existing, city code compliance, parks, recreation, transportation, schools, drainage, sewage problems, water supply, area beautification, and whereas the Pike Township Residents Association is an umbrella organization for local homeowners association and also serves the needs of individual residents and businesses. And whereas this is an all-volunteer, remember that, all-volunteer organization in which the officers and board members put in numerous hours in meetings and research of issues with no compensation, now, therefore, be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and of Marion County, Indiana, the Indianapolis City County Council recognizes Pike Township Residents Association, Incorporated, for their commitment, dedication, and hard work for Pike Township and its residents and businesses. And with that, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries back to the speaker.
Susan, would you like to?
Thank you. On behalf of the Pike Township Residents Association, its board of directors, and its members, I humbly accept this recognition. I'd like to honor those that have served before us, the past board members, as well as past presidents. In our nearly 50 years of service, we believe we have made a positive difference in Pike Township, and we are certainly hopeful that in the next 50 years, we'll continue to make a positive difference. I would especially like to recognize a former president, my mentor, who drafted me into PTRA in 1993, and that's Don Bryson. Don Bryson passed away this year, and when I think of what he did back in the 90s when the township development was exploding, without internet, without email, without texting, I don't know how he survived, but his leadership brought us to where we are today. Rest in peace, Don. We miss you. Thank you again for the recognition, and I especially want to thank Councilor McHenry, who has attended every one of our meetings on a regular basis and is a contributor. And her hard work and dedication to the township is phenomenal. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. Again, another great organization. Thank you all.
The next item on our agenda is proposal number 463, which recognizes Hickory House Recovery.
We're back. I'm glad to have my friend Melissa Durkin from the Hickory House Recovery Facility with us this evening. This is a special resolution recognizing Hickory House Recovery. Whereas Hickory House Recovery began operation in March of 2017, basing their approach to addiction recovery on the philosophy of treatment with dignity and combating the stigma of limited residential treatment options in Indiana. The Hickory House is located just east of Cumberland on East Washington Street. And whereas the dedicated staff of Hickory House Recovery began working with a vision to assist adult men and women who suffer from substance use disorders and co-occurring mental health disorders. The facility uses qualified medical and clinical professionals to diagnose and treat. Hickory House Recovery believes in the continuum of care, operating a residential treatment program, intensive outpatient program, and assists with discharge planning for all clients to ensure a greater success of long-term sobriety and recovery. And whereas the effects of drug and alcohol addiction reach far beyond the affected individual, while the person who is struggling with substance use disorder is likely affected the most, spouses, children, parents, siblings, and friends can all suffer as well. Hickory House Recovery understands addiction is a disease, not a moral failing. The staff is kind and compassionate, always focused on what is best for the client. And whereas since opening, Hickory House Recovery has helped approximately 400 men and women on their path to recovery from substance use disorder, and whereas Hickory House Recovery is in the process of opening more facilities, 2 in Marion County and 5 more throughout the state of Indiana. So therefore, be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and the County of Marion, Section 1, the City of Indianapolis City County Council recognizes Hickory House Recovery for providing dignified treatment to men and women recovering from addiction, giving them the tools to aid in living a new lifestyle and reintegration with family and community as a drug-free individual. The council extends its appreciation and gratitude to Hickory House for their vision to assist with addiction. And with that said, Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Back to the speaker.
And with your permission, Mr. President, I'd like to have Ms. Melissa Durkin from the Hickory House say a
Please.
few words.
Please.
Thank you, Susie. And thank you, Council. On behalf of Hickory House Recovery, the staff and I really appreciate and are honored to be recognized this evening. As Susie mentioned, we are very excited because of the success at Hickory House Recovery. Over the last 2.5 years, we are excited to open 7 additional facilities across the state, 2 of which will be in Marion County. We are actually going to be opening the first of those 2 buildings next week. So it will be 104 beds treating adult men and women suffering from substance use disorder and co-occurring mental health disorders. And we look forward to helping more people. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is proposal numbers 464 through 474, which recognizes the public service of Councilors Jeff Coates, Susie Cordy, Danielle Coulter, Colleen Fanning, Andy Harris, Janice McHenry, Mike McQuillan, Christine Scales, Jefferson Shreve, Joseph Simpson, and John Wessler.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a special honor for me to do this, to be able to recognize so many people that I've had the honor to work with over the last several years. This is, and I guess should I call them up when I read their names? This is a special resolution recognizing the public service of Councilors Jeff Coates, Susie Cordy, Danielle Coulter, Colleen Fanning, Andy Harris, Janice McHenry, Michael McQuillan, Christine Scales, Jefferson Shreve, Joseph Simpson, and John Wessler. So if you could all come down and join me here. And there are Councilor Scales and Councilor Simpson are both absent today. Whereas a free nation rests upon the willingness of responsible citizens who voluntarily and actively participate in the governmental process, and whereas the pursuit and achievement of elected officials with its attendant commitments of self, time, and energy represents one of the highest expressions of citizenship participation, and whereas City County Councilors Coates, Cordy, Coulter, Fanning, Harris, McHenry, McQuillan, Scales, Shreve, Simpson, and Wessler have served their constituents and the people of Indianapolis with integrity and sincerity. And whereas the councilors have meticulously served the various committees of the council, as well as other boards, commissions, committees, and community organizations. Now therefore be it resolved by the City County Council of the City of Indianapolis and of Marion County, Indiana, Section 1, the Indianapolis City County Council recognizes the members of the Indianapolis-Marion County City County Council, Councilors Janice McHenry, Michael McQuillan, and Christine Scales for their 12 years of dedicated service, Councilor Simpson for his 8 years of dedicated service, Councilor Coates, Cordy, and Fanning for their 4 years of dedicated service, and Councilors Coulter, Harris, Shreve, and Wessler for their dedicated years of service completing vacated district council terms. Section 2, on behalf of the citizens of Indianapolis, Council extends its appreciation and gratitude to these councilors and encourages them to remain active participants in the life of this community. And so I therefore move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded.
So most of you were up here.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. There we go.
Motion
Very good.
carries. Back to the speaker.
Thank you. And most of these resolutions are basically the same resolutions, just with personal achievements of each of the councilors inside. So with that, thank you all for your service.
Thank you.
Well, here, don't go anywhere. It's good news.
The next item on our agenda is proposal number 475, which approves a schedule of regular council meetings for the year 2020. I want to ask the returning councilors if everyone has had an opportunity to review the calendar for the year 2020. All right. Is there a motion? Second. All right. So the motion's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All right. The next item on the agenda is proposal number 450, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. With consent, I would like to take proposal number 450, 451, 452, 453 together. Thank you. Proposal number 450 reappoints Alfred Blackburn to the Metropolitan Development Commission. Proposal number 451 reappoints Lena Hackett to the Metropolitan Development Commission. Proposal number 452 reappoints William Selm to the Metropolitan Development Commission, and proposal number 453 reappoints Mindy Westrick to the Metropolitan Development Commission. The proposals all passed out of committee by a vote of 10-0. Mr. President, I so move.
All right, the motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The motion carries 21-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 454, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 454 appoints Brian Chatfield to the Board of Business and Neighborhood Services. Mr. Chatfield appeared before the committee on Monday, December 2nd, 2019, to seek appointment and answer questions. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 10-0. Mr. President, I so move.
This has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 21-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 455, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 455 appoints Kenneth Allen to the Board of Public Works. Councilor Cordy moved and seconded by Councilor Coates to send proposal 455 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. That motion carried by a vote of 6-0, and I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 21-0. The next item on our agenda is introduction of proposals. There are no new proposals for the year. The next item on our agenda is special orders, priority business. Proposal numbers 476 through 483 are rezoning ordinances certified for approval by the Metropolitan Development Commission on November the 26th, 2019. If no councilor wishes to call down any of the proposals for reconsideration, the proposals will pass into law. Does anyone wish to call down any of the proposals for reconsideration? All right, seeing none, the proposals will pass into law. The next item on our agenda is special orders public hearing, referred to Admin and Finance Committee. Chairwoman Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019, Admin and Finance Committee, proposal number 392 approves additional appropriations and transfers, total $360,000 in the total budget of the Office of Corporation Counsel Consolidated General Fund to fund expert witness, legal, and contractual costs incurred. The speakers were Ann O'Connor, Deputy Corporation Counsel, stated that they are asking for a transfer, and the proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 6-0. Mr. President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 392?
Yes, Larry Vaughn, please. First of all, Mr. President, I'd like to congratulate the council on having a supermajority and changing the situation here in this city, and I know that the Democrats can come up with some leadership in memory of how Ryan Bond treated the Democrats when he was in power. But in any case, on this proposal here, forgot what I was going to say.
Proposal number 392.
All right. I just want to say that more of this money coming out for legal counsel in the city and procuring experts and expert testimony. And only thing I would like to know is, at this time, how much of that money is going into the coffers of black professionals and that are being employed or contracted with through the mayor's office. And if it's not a significant amount, I'm sure the council can do something about that in the future.
Are there additional comments? All right, are there additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, then we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 21-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 396, referred to Admin and Finance Committee. Chairwoman Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 396, 2019, approves the issuance of special taxing districts refunding bonds for the Indianapolis Public Safety Communication Systems and Computer facilitates districts to refund outstanding 2008 bonds in the amount of $15,105,000 and master equipment lease of 2018 with an outstanding amount of $24,500,000 to result in reduced interest costs and debt services savings. Sarah Riordan spoke. She's Executive Director, and Kyle Willis, Associate Director and Chief Compliance Officer from the Indianapolis Bond Bank, appeared here to speak on behalf and gave a brief presentation. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 6-0, and Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 396? All right, seeing none. If there are no additional comments from councilors, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 21-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 397, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 397 approves the issuance of tax increment revenue and refunding bonds in the airport, industrial, economic development, and expansion allocation areas, and authorizes the issuance of bonds by the Metropolitan Development Commission to finance public improvements related to the Emphasis Project and refunding of certain obligations for debt services savings. Director Sarah Riordan and Eva Flex, Senior Project Manager of the Bond Bank, gave a presentation. Ms. Riordan stated that their goal is to finance infrastructure and the purchase of the parking garage to support the development of Emphasis U.S. Education Hub. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 10-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 397?
Only because this is an issue, instance where bond issues are appropriate for funding public services like the airport. But what I'm really afraid of, this council has issued so many bonds backed up by this city to private corporations that I'm really afraid, especially when I heard on the news after Celadon Trucking came in here and got over $50 million from this council in incentive packages, and I think 25 million of that was actual bonds backed up by the credit of this city. So they're now filing bankruptcy and leaving their drivers stranded all over their trucking area, and also they're not going to pay back any of that money right now because they have filed bankruptcy, and their top officers are now facing jail time. So I just wish that in the future with our new council, with a supermajority and a veto-proof situation, could see into the future and not let corporations come in as they will now because of property tax caps and operate in this area without paying any taxes whatsoever, and further bringing this city to a point where it cannot afford to issue any more bonds to cover their debt and their adventures or whatever they want to go on, or development. I wish the city would change that policy.
So anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 397? All right, seeing none. Any additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 400, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 400 approves the 2020 budget of the Greater Virginia Avenue Corridor Economic Improvement District. Mr. Paul Smith, project manager, appeared before the committee to answer questions. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 9-0 to 1, with Councilor Holliday abstaining. Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Council Holliday.
Thank you, Mr. President. As noted in committee, I abstained on this vote. I think I should do on the floor tonight as well.
Thank you. Any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 400?
I live in that area, Mr. President, and I drove through Fountain Square tonight, and every business in there revolves around alcohol. I mean, this council is sending millions of dollars out of this room every year since I've been coming down here to promote intemperance. Now, coming through downtown tonight, coming to this meeting, there were bars filled with people on a Monday night at 6:30, drinking, and having a good time. That may be a good time for a little while, but every bar I've seen had been subsidized by this council in the means of equipment and everything else that they have to make their business function. But I suggest that we don't support any more alcoholism in our town. We have enough problem as it is, and I wish this council would change their policy and not in the future promote intolerance.
Are there any additional comments from anyone in the audience? All right, seeing none. Any additional comments from councilors? Councilor Sharif.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just note as a co-sponsor of this proposal that it's not millions of dollars, it's $90-some thousand in a budget for an economic improvements district, and there's more than alcohol in Fountain Square. What we're doing is good and proper, in my opinion.
Any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 21 yeas, 1 abstention. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 401, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 401 approves the 2020 budget of the Woodruff Place Economic Improvement District. Will Pritchard, Chair, Woodruff Place Economic Improvement District, appear before the committee to answer questions. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 401?
This is another item that I'm not so sure about, Mr. President. When we allow the people that live in the taxing district to impose taxes for improvements that the city should be actually paying for. I mean, it can only go on so long as the property values increase in the city, that it will be the person that has the most money will be able to attain property, and they can do it by just increasing the property taxes on their neighbors, as is the case in Woodruff Place, and just moving them out. So I wish that this council in the future would not delegate their taxing authority to an 8-person board that can tax your neighbor out of the community. That's all I'm saying.
Any additional comments from the audience? Seeing no one, are there any additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 406, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 406, 2019, approves additional appropriations totaling $589,350 in the 2019 budget of the Marion County Sheriff, the MECA funds to cover union increases for dispatchers and upgrade to the security system and for training. Kerry Forrester, Marion County Sheriff, and Barbara Lawrence, CFO, gave a brief presentation. Councilor Simpson moved, seconded by Councilor Muscari, to send proposal 406 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Vote carried by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 406? Seeing no one, any additional comments from councilors? Then we'll proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 407, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 407, 2019, approves an additional appropriation of $250,000 in the 2019 budget of the Marion County Prosecutor's Office in the Federal Grant Fund, with a corresponding reduction of $250,000 in the State Grant Fund due to Department of Child Services funding now being considered federal funding instead of state funding. Terrence Tharp, Chief Counsel at Marion County Prosecutor's Office, stated that this proposal is an accounting measure to accurately reflect the source of funds they receive from DCS. Councilor Simpson moved, seconded by Councilor Muscari, send proposal 407 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 407?
Yes, this is one of the most dangerous things that we can subject our children to. What we're doing here is we're shifting the state of Indiana, taking them off of the hook for breaking up families and leaving the children destitute, and then allowing the federal government to come in with their rules. They have different rules than we use here in the state of Indiana, and they don't have any compassion mixed with those rules. So it's a big mistake, because if the city is not spending money to actually fund the programs for these children who have ended up as guardians of the state of Indiana and have been taken into custody by the city of Indianapolis, and shifting that burden over to federal officials, and just like any grant that we have take advantage of, federal or otherwise, are contracts and they come with stipulations. So it's just a dangerous thing to get into. And you people who are listening at home, they're now going to put your children at the mercy of the federal government whenever they come in contact with this city. So I think the state of Indiana needs to take under consideration their stand on property tax caps so that they can solve this problem without resorting to the federal government and allowing our children to be exploited by the federal government, because it happens every time.
Are there any additional comments from the audience? Seeing none, Councilor McQuillan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for counsel to the council, if I may.
Please.
Am I correct that if we had not shifted this funding, then the net result would have been a loss of $250,000 in fundings for some of the most vulnerable children in our city? Is that correct?
Mr. President, may I defer that
Please.
question to the CFO?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, this is an administrative move to align where the funding is coming from properly. So yes, if we don't make that move, there would be the potential of not being able to spend those funds.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions from councilors on proposal number 407? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 408, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 408, 2019, approves an additional appropriation of $2,085,000 in the 2019 budget of the Marion County Superior Court Guardian Ad Litem and Drug Treatment Diversion Funds, and a transfer of appropriation of $185,000, an additional reduction of $1,127,483 in the County General Fund to cover the cost of Guardian Ad Litem services, drug testing, and other contractual services. Monica Ferguson, Director of Finance of the Marion County Superior Court, gave a brief presentation. Councilor Simpson moved, seconded by Councilor Wessler, to send proposal 408 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 408?
I just want to talk about the aspect of guardian ad litems. They are a person that goes up in a role as a supporter of a child that does not have anyone to stand up with them and make recommendations to the judge. Now, most of these young people are Chin's cases, and it also allows a judge to convict a minor of a felony. So that's the most insidious part of it, and it just proves my point. When we turn our children over to the federal officials, we don't have any say on what direction they take with them. They could say that this child needs to go to some federal prison situation or to some other situation, and then, and back.
Allow that kind of talk
right.
to
I
happen in
repent,
the
it's only
chambers.
2 minutes, and I got
I
two.
know, but please be accurate in your
yes, if we can
comments.
stay on point.
I'll go back to this one where you're appropriating more money for the reduction of any type of drug addiction and so forth. Now, this is like a cat chasing his tail. He's never going to catch it, because the more money you spend on drug addiction, the more time you placate people who are
Point of order,
addicted to
Mr.
drugs,
President.
the
This
more
is
of this
not germane.
situation
Mr. Vaughn,
you got
Mr. Vaughn,
abandoned homes.
Mr. Vaughn, we will
Thank
stick to
you.
the point or we'll be done.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 408? All right, seeing none, any additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 409, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 409, 2019, approves an additional appropriation of $344,236. The 2019 budget of the Marion County Coroner's Office and the County General Fund to address shortfalls in staffing, supplies, and pathology costs due to the increased number of deaths and investigations. Alfreda Ballou, Deputy Coroner of Marion County Coroner's Office, shared the presentation and a brief proposal. Councilor Fanning moved, seconded by Councilor Evans, to send proposal 409 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 409?
This just proves my point even more, Mr. President, where you have to increase a coroner's budget. Because of why? Because of the more people are dying from drug addiction, and we're doing more to placate them. We cannot keep up with this effort to save people from themselves. We have administered over 2,500 doses of Narcan at $6,500 per dose this year. If we did not administer those doses of Narcan, I suggest that we would have
Mr.
2,500
President, once
suicides
again,
on our.
this is not germane
We would
to
have
the
over
proposal, and
2,500
it's-
suicides
Mr. Vaughn.
this year.
Mr. Vaughn.
Point of order.
I was just talking about the coroner. My friend, Judge Echols told me that if they counted all the suicides that would come through his office due to drug overdoses,
Mr. President,
then,
what is the
Mr.
topic
Vaughn,
of the
they wouldn't be able to
proposal?
keep up with it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Very good. Are there any additional comments on proposal number 409 from the audience? Seeing none, are there additional comments from the council? Very good. Then seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 410, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 410, 2019, approves an additional appropriations of transfers totaling $124,412 in the 2019 budget of the Marion County Public Defender Agency and the County General, and local grant funds to cover the costs of transitioning contract employees to full-time employees, expenses associated with capital case and expert witnesses, and for the training of 2 employees at the Juvenile Defender Leadership Due to Professional Development grant from the Indiana Youth Institute. Robert Hill, Chief Public Defender of Marion County, share the presentation with the committee. Councilor Evans moved, seconded by Councilor Mascari, send proposal 410 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 10-0. Mr. President, I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 410?
I'd like to keep on point here this time. When you talk about juvenile crime and you talk about that going up and you talk about how you treat it, it's a very expensive process. But I think that this council have exacerbated that process by creating so-called charter schools. Now, these charter schools wouldn't be so bad, but it's a shame that the city of Indianapolis is using part of the funding that they get from the state of Indiana as fees. Almost 35% is deposited in the general fund on the backs of these underserved minority children who are not learning how to read, and they keep on doing it, and that just flushes out any juvenile court system. It flushes it out, and it's a really mean thing to do to our children, to subject them to this, this pathological. You keep doing it over and over again, and you're really destroying our children in the process. And I wish that our new council would see fit to just kind of buffer that a little bit, Mr. President.
Are there additional comments from the audience on proposal number 410? All right, seeing no one, additional comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Proposal number 410. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal 412, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 412, 2019, approves an additional appropriation and transfer of appropriations totaling $1,151,076 in 2019 budget of the Office of Public Health and Safety in the Metro Emergency Communications Fund to fund the maintenance payment of the CAD system for infrastructure projects and system-related projects. Councilor Evans moved, seconded by Councilor Oliver, to amend proposal number 412 by separating the transfer into a separate section to make clear what the additional appropriation is for and what the transfer is for. Councilor Evans moved, seconded by Councilor Fanning, to send proposal 412 to the full council. The due pass as amended recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to proposal number 412? Seeing no one, if there are no comments from councilors, we will proceed to the board to vote. Motion carries 22-0. And the next item on our agenda is proposal number 413, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal 413, 2019, approves an additional appropriation of $437,463 in the 2019 budget of the Marion County Community Corrections Agency and the State Grant Fund from unspent grant dollars for security upgrades at Duval Residential Center. Tyler Bowman, the director of the Marion County Community Corrections Agency, gave a brief presentation. Councilor Evans moved, seconded by Councilor Mascari, to send proposal 413 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to hear from anyone in the audience who would like to speak to proposal number 413. Seeing no one, is there anyone on the council that would like to speak to proposal 413?
Can I speak here? When you talk about community corrections, the main thing I can see is somebody with an ankle bracelet on. And there's more and more of them happening every time, and more like this one joint over on the corner here on Delaware, more people hanging around with ankle bracelets on. I mean, if they hadn't done something enough to get locked up in jail, I think we should take those ankle bracelets off and let the system not be mitigated by the work that we do in here. Because if they seen how many people they actually had in jail, the state of Indiana would change their mind about a lot of things they do. And I think this council, with their new veto-proof power, will be able to defend us better against the state of Indiana, and they will work together, even the Republicans that are on the council, to work together as one council to take control of this city. Amen.
Are there any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Councilor Gray.
It seems that the public safety budget is the largest portion of our city budget. But did we over budget some of these different entities within the city department? Here we are at the end of the year with this kind of money left over that we can just advertently spend at will. I think that in the next budget hearing for the public safety, maybe we should take a look at some of this and make sure that this big overspend doesn't occur again at the year end next year.
Very good, thank you. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. If someone from the Controller's Office can come up and speak to the necessity to have these proposals off the end of the calendar year with your request.
Please. Is there anyone here from the Controller's Office?
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you for your question, Councilor Gray, or for your comment.
Yes, good evening. David Hortemiller, Deputy Controller with the Office of Finance and Management. So I think the question was regarding the fiscals coming through the Public Safety Committee. In terms of additional appropriations, I believe that they are primarily transfers of appropriations. So within the existing budget are the majority of the fiscals coming before you tonight to essentially clean up the budget to allow them to spend the original budget that was appropriated by this council. It is a very fair question. I think that when it comes down to it, we are always encouraging agencies to promote savings wherever possible. So, in planning a budget 18 months in advance, it's hard to predict every single cost. And so, for the most part, again, we do encourage savings. And in this, in these instances, savings have occurred, in which case they are now being appropriated in a different manner.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any additional comments from councilors? All right. And that motion carries 21-0. There is no business under special orders unfinished business. We'll now proceed to special orders final adoption. And the next item on our agenda is proposal number 391, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 391, 2019, approves a transfer of $26,000 in the 2019 budget of the Marion County Auditor's Ineligible Deduction Fund to purchase a new vehicle. Drew Carlson, CFO, Marion County Auditor, stated the audit is in need of a new vehicle and they did not have enough funds in Character 4 to purchase, but had a surplus in Character 1. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 6-0. Mr. President, I so move.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 393, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 393, 2019, approves the transfer of $25,000 in the 2019 budget of the City County Council Consolidated County General Fund to fund increases to staffing. CFO Hall stated that the transfer is from the unspent character $3 to move character 1. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 6-0, and Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 394, referred to Admin and Finance Committee. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 394, 2019, approves a transfer of appropriations of $400,000 in the 2019 budget of the Marion County Election Board County General Fund for the contracting, temporary staff, and other related vendor expenses to conduct the 2019 general elections. Brent Stinson, Deputy Election Administrator, stated that the Marion County Election Board needs to move funds from the general character 1 to character 3 to cover vendor and contract expenses. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 6-0, and Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for a vote. The motion carries 20 yeas, 1 nay. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 395, referred to Administration and Finance Committee. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 395, 2019, approves a transfer appropriations of $650,000 in the 2019 budget of the Information Services Agency Information Services Fund to cover department understaffing due to slow hiring and attrition, and to serve as transition costs for Bell Technologies to ensure improved service management and support starting in November. Elliot Patrick, Chief Operating Officer, and Ed Klunging, CFO, gave a brief discussion of the proposal. Mr. Elliott stated that the ISA made a transfer related to the price increase, which their managed staff provider. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 6-0, and Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The motion carries 21 yeas, 1 nay. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 398, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 398 approves the transfer of appropriations of $366,785 in the 2019 budget of the Department of Business and Neighborhood Services to fund animal supplies, medical services, building repairs, and capital investments. Director Brian Madison and CFO Olson, Department of Business and Neighborhood Services, gave a brief presentation. Ms. Olson stated that the requested dollars will be transferred from Character 1 and will not affect the overall budget. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 399, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 399 approves a total expenditures of $1,487,330.44 in the 2020 Community Revitalization Enhancement District CREED funds for various improvements benefits in the Lafayette Square area, AKA the International Marketplace CREED District. Mary Clark, Executive Director of the International Marketplace Coalition, and Ryan Hunt of DMD read through a presentation. Ms. Clark stated that the request will cover costs associated with IMC's administration, marketing, and the International Global Villages. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Shreve.
Mr. President, I would just observe that I was a nay vote rather than a 9-0 vote when that came out of committee.
I apologize, Mr. President, that's correct.
All right, very good. Okay, corrections noted. Are there any additional comments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. The motion carries 19 yeas, 3 nays. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 402, referred to Metropolitan Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 402 approves inducement resolution for Central Greens for the issuance of multifamily housing revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $19 million to finance a portion of the cost of acquisition, construction, financing, and equipment of a new multifamily housing facility consisting of 156 apartment units with facilities for low and moderate income individuals and families within Council District 15. Jeff Bennett, Deputy Mayor of Community Development, and David Lyon, Vice President of Real Estate Development, Mercy Housing, gave a brief presentation. Mr. Bennett stated that the purpose of the project is to address homelessness in Indianapolis, and the project will provide affordable housing and income restrictions, with 22% of the units being reserved for our homeless neighbors in the community. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 403, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 403 approves a statement of benefits application for Spectron RX and Castleton Park Investment LLC, an applicant for a tax abatement for property located within an economic revitalization area. Leslie Wagner, Senior Principal, and Christopher Ritter, Senior Chemist at Spectrum RX, made a presentation and stated that they are seeking a 6-year real and property tax abatement. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote.
Oh, sorry.
Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 404, referred to Metropolitan and Economic Development Committee. Chairwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 404 amends the consolidated zoning and subdivision ordinance portion of the code to update the boundaries of the Willfield Protection District to reflect the findings of Citizens Energy Group. Members of DMD read through a presentation and stated that the change in the code is a regulatory compliance requirement, and it modifies the district boundaries for 4 well-filled areas. The proposal passed out of committee by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 405, referred to Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairman Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 405 approved the transfer appropriation of $651,210 in the 2019 budget of Department of Parks and Recreation Parks General Fund to purchase capital equipment to replace high mileage and aged assets in the Indy Parks maintenance fleet. Mr. President, on November 21st, that motion was put and it passed by a vote of 4-0, and I so move for its passage.
Second.
All right, the motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries, 21 yeas, 1 nay. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 411, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
President, proposal 411, 2019, approves transfers totaling $4,924,000 in 2019 budget of the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department, federal law enforcement IMPD grant funds for equipment and technology for convert operations, gun range renovations, cameras, additional vehicles and vehicle equipment, traffic unit communications, and new radar guns. Valerie Cunningham, Deputy Chief of IMPD, discussed the presentation and shared the proposal. Councilor Simpson moved, seconded by Councilor Evans, to send proposal 411 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 10-0. Mr. President, I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 21-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 414, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 414, 2019, approves a transfer of appropriations of $200,000 to 2019 budget of the Marion County Forensic Agency, County General Fund, to purchase and replace several pieces of forensic equipment. Dan Norris, CFO of the Marion County Forensic Agency, stated that this proposal is simple transfer of forensic equipment. Councilor Simpson moved, seconded by Councilor Muscari, to send proposal 414 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Motion carried by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 415, referred to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Chairman Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 415, 2019, approves certain public purpose grants totaling $315,000 from the Drug-Free Community Fund. Deborah Hall, Grants Administrator of the Office of Finance and Management, briefly spoke to the presentation. Councilor Fanning moved, seconded by Councilor Oliver, to send proposal 415 to the full council. The due pass recommendation, the motion carried by a vote of 9-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22-0. The next item on our agenda, proposal number 416, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 416 approves the transfer of appropriations in the amount of $640,000 into the 2019 budget of the Department of Public Works, Consolidated City County General Fleet Services Fund, to fund contractual needs for the repair and maintenance of the city's fleet. The chair asked why the funds were not being transferred into Character 1 instead of Character 3. Director Parker stated this is because DPW does not have enough staff to handle all the repairs and maintenance. He stated that the majority of these funds are going to be used to cover the maintenance of Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department fleet, and adding that the money will be charged back. Councilor Gray moved, seconded by Councilor Cordy, to send proposal number 416 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 7-0, and I so move.
Motions are properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22 to 0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 417, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. With consent, I'd like to take the next 10 proposals.
That's 417 through what?
417 through 426.
Good.
Proposal number 417 approves the intersection controls at Clayton and LaSalle Streets. Proposal number 418 approves of a weight limit restriction on Pagoda and Conservatory drives throughout Garfield Park. Proposal number 419 approves of the intersection controls at University and Oak Avenues. Proposal number 420 approves of the intersection controls at DeCamp Drive and Biscayne Road. Proposal number 421 approves of the intersection controls at Denison and Ray Streets. Proposal number 422 approves of a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour near Rhodius Park. Proposal number 423 approves of a speed limit reduction to 25 miles per hour in the various subdivisions near Southport and Franklin Road. Proposal number 424 approves of the parking restrictions and one-way traffic designation along portions of Fall Creek Parkway South Drive between Meridian and Illinois Streets. Proposal number 425 approves of the intersection controls at High School Road and 25th Street. Proposal number 426 approves of parking restrictions on Rolling Hills Drive near Girls School Road. In Councilor McHenry's absence, Councilor Cordy asked if all district councilors were in support of these proposals, and Mr. Sheets affirmed that that was the case. Councilor Coates moved, seconded by Councilor Cordy, to send proposals number 417 through 26, 2019 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 7-0, and I so move. Second.
The motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22 to 0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 427, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Proposal number 427 establishes the interest in acquiring real estate for the purpose of drainage improvement project by the Department of Public Works located on 7726 Camelback Drive. Where is that? Councilor Oliver moves, seconded by Councilor Gray, to send proposal 429 to the, I'm sorry, that's not the right one. Where is it? To move proposal 427 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. That motion carried by a vote of 7-0, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22 to 0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 428, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The proposal number 428 amends the code regarding street and bridge construction standards to delegate authority to set street design and construction standards to the Board of Public Works. Councilor Gray moved, seconded by Councilor Coates, to send proposal 428 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. That motion carried by a vote of 7-0, and I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for our vote. Motion carries 22 to 0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 429, referred to Public Works Committee. Chairman Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 429 approves the Department of Public Works to enter into a project cooperation agreement with the town of Rocky Ripple and Butler University regarding the planning, design, and construction of the White River Rocky Ripple Flood Control Project. Councilor Oliver moves, seconded by Councilor Gray, to send proposal number 429 to the full council with a due pass recommendation, and that motion carried by a vote of 7-0, and I so move. Second.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Councilor Fanning.
Thank you, Mr. President. May it please be added as a co-sponsor to this proposal, please? Thank you.
Noted. Any additional comments from councilors? All right, seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for a vote. The motion carries 22 to 0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 457, referred to Rules and Public Policy Committee. Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proposal number 433, 2019, amends Chapter 996 of the Code regarding public vehicles for hire. Brandon Herget, Council Policy Director, and Pam Altmeyer, ALVI, Indiana Workers' Justice Committee, presented details on the changes in Proposal 433. Sonia Cedar, Business and Neighborhood Services, stated that in addition to the proposed changes, BNS was also able to make changes such as the elimination of dress code requirements and updating the criminal history background check to align with current state criminal code. Council Kim presented an amendment to correct Section 996-25 regarding fees. This amendment changes the annual renewal to a 2-year renewal. Councilor McQuillan moved, seconded by Councilor Coates, man, having a hard time here, to amend proposal number 433, 2019. The motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Councilor Gray moved, seconded by Councilor Lewis, to send proposal number 433, 2019 to the full council with a due pass as amended recommendation. The motion carried by a vote of 6-0. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments from councilors? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the board for a vote. Motion carries 22-0. There is no business under Special Service District Councils, and there is no business under New Business. So the next item on our agenda is announcements and adjournment. Councilor Adamson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Department of Public Works would like to ask everyone with an earshot to keep William Starks in their thoughts and prayers. William is a solid waste worker who was this evening struck by a car while servicing the east side and is currently in the emergency room recovering. We would ask everyone to keep him in their thoughts for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. The docketed agenda for this meeting of council having been completed, the chair will now entertain motions for adjournment.
Mr. President.
The chair recognizes Councilor McQuillan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've been asked to offer the following motion for adjournment. By Councilor Cordy, in memory of Bruce Gordon O'Neill, Stanley R. Stoltz, Jeff Gildia, and Wenda O. Nance. By Councilor Holliday, in memory of Tracy Hayden. By Councilor Jackson, in memory of Alston Golar. By Councilor Osley, in memory of Kabir Sharif. By Councilors Osley and Lewis, in memory of Reverend Frank Alexander. By Councilor McQuillan, in memory of William Ruckelshaus and Gary Lewis Cohen. By Councilor Adamson, in memory of Brian Taylor. By Councilors Adamson, Osley, and Cordy, in memory of Clara Celestina Horseman. And by Councilor Fanning, in memory of Todd Kokert. Mr. President, I would like to move the adjournment of this meeting of the Indianapolis City County Council in recognition of and respect for the life and contributions of those persons I have here specifically named. I respectfully ask the support of fellow councilors. I further request that the motion be made a part of the permanent records of this body, and that a letter bearing the council seal and the signature of the president be sent to the family of each person advising of this action.
Thank you, Councilor McQuillan. Hearing no objections, this motion is received and the request is so ordered. Hearing no further motions, we are adjourned. And thank you for your service.